Yankee and the Brit's the place to be. Radio living is the life for me. Airwaves spreading out so far and wide. Keep your FM, just give me that internet side.
Online is where I'd rather stay. I've got a lot of music to play. I just adore a Yankee view. Darling, I love you, but give me a show to do.
The Chat.
The Brats.
On air.
That's fair.
You are my wife.
Goodbye, British life.
The Yankee and the Brit on air.
Yankee and the Brit and the RTM Radio Network.
And on the Dog and Bone, we have Randy Belt. Say hello, Randy, or Randall.
Randall, hello. Hey.
Hey.
Hi, Donna.
Hello.
Thanks for having me.
How are you?
Pretty good. Got a new song in the works. Going to be out at the end of the month.
Cool.
Wow.
What are we doing now?
Just always keeping busy.
What's this one going to be called?
The new one?
Yeah.
It's called Like You for You.
Why, thank you.
Well, yes.
It is
It's a lovely thing for you
It's
to
actually,
say.
it's a response to the song Delicate by Taylor Swift, actually. In the song, she says, "You must like me for me." It's like, my reputation's never been worse, so you must like me for me. So it's kind of a song about liking for somebody for who they are, seeing through, knowing all their faults, their bad days, their bad side, and still caring about them and liking them and loving them and all that.
Yeah. I mean,
So that's what it's about.
even though you love someone, it's not always easy to like them all the time, is it? Especially.
Sometimes.
Will you stop messing with things?
Here we go. Case in point.
He's like turning knobs and pressing buttons, and I'm like, it's fine.
Everything went nuts for a few minutes. I guess I got it all back under control. That's all.
So tell us when you got started, Randall.
Started with, depends on what you're talking about.
Yeah, when did you get started with your music?
With music, I was really young. Well, when I was like a little kid, I would be forced to take naps. And I didn't like naps. I never slept for naps. And I was like the only kid in kindergarten who would just be laying there wide awake, watching everybody else sleep. And so I would like tap out beats with my fingers. And I don't know, it's just something that was very natural, just a rhythm thing. And then like later on as I got older, I'd be taking naps in the bed and put your hand under the pillow and you tap beats on the bed and it like echoes through the pillow. You ever done that?
Yeah.
It sounds weird. But
Yeah. It's like
and I just was a knack for doing beats. And then later on, my uncle was in a band called Cottonwood that toured the Midwest region. And he had every instrument you could think of. And so I was always around music and instruments. My dad played guitar and banjo, just, for the fun of it. He also wrote a lot of songs, one of which I'm going to record one day for him. But I got interested in wanting a guitar really bad. Every year I'd ask for a guitar. And finally, when I was like 12 or 13, I got a guitar, acoustic guitar, and just learned to play by ear. Went to lessons for a while, and the lady that was teaching me would eat popcorn while she was teaching me, and it was kind of annoying, so I quit. And
I can
just
imagine.
learn on my own. Yeah.
She didn't spit the seeds at you, did she?
I don't remember. It may have been. Could have landed inside the hole of my guitar or something with all those picks.
Well, it'd make for good, what do you call those? Those rattles.
The little percussion instrument there.
Yeah.
Oh, maracas.
Yeah, that's it.
Maracas.
While you were laying there on that mat while everybody else was napping, were you writing little songs to yourself and singing them, or?
No, just tap beats. I would make up poems and stuff, but I didn't really turn them into songs until much later.
Uh-huh.
But yeah.
But
I got into...
But the idea was there while you were that little, though.
Yeah. And then when I started playing guitar, it was actually more of a comfort thing. It was like comforting yourself by making up your own songs, and I would do that a lot. And I wrote a lot of poetry and stuff, and it wasn't until later that I actually started taking some of the poetry ideas and thinking, you know what, I can probably write a song. And so then I started writing songs like a long time ago. And before that, though, I would do musical compositions, but I never had lyrics to them. So I got really good at putting together compositions. And then finally, when I got the idea of putting lyrics to things, and it's just something you work at, really. It's a craft, that you develop. and you just get better and better at it over time.
Are you the mastermind behind Barley Station?
Right now, I am Barley Station.
Okay.
Yep. So yeah.
Where does your band come from, or who plays with you?
Usually, if we play live, it'll be there's a few drummers we've used. My former bandmate Brian, he kind of is in and out and works on stuff with me. He's kind of like my collaborator, and we've been good friends for like 17 years. And he'll usually come out with me, and we'll play, and then just have a few other friends that we played with before.
How did you come up with the name?
Barley Station?
Yeah.
That was actually me and my friend Steve, who also plays drums once in a while for us, kind of came up with the name. We both wanted a name that sort of fit the style that we were doing. And so we found like some band name generator on the internet and just started punching things in and throwing them at each other. And so he came up with a word and I came up with a word, and I don't remember which one was which, but one of us came up with Barley and the other came up with Station. And we kind of put it together. Barley was like the earthy kind of sound that reflects our music because it's very organic for the most part. And then Station was just kind of like a place of rest, a place to go and chill out and hang out with friends or whatever. And that's sort of the symbolism behind it.
I had assumed maybe it was a railroad station or something.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, well, we've had a lot of people think it has something to do with like a pub or beer or something, but it actually doesn't have anything to do with it at all. Like, the barley.
Probably just as well. Yeah, when you say barley, I think of beer.
Yeah. No, it was just a thought of a plant, that's all. It was the most simplest one I can think of. In my previous band, we were called the Barnacles.
The who?
The Barnacles.
The Barnacles. Like Barnacle Bob or
Barnacle
SpongeBob
Bill?
stuff. Yeah, there it is.
Arr.
But we started getting a lot of SpongeBob jokes, so we ditched that and then reformed under the name Barley Station. That's kind of how it came to be. But we put 3 albums out under the Barnacles that are out there on Spotify and iTunes and all that. But Barley Station started in 2011, and we've been going strong since then. And
did you take off by yourself to do Barley Station, or were you still the Barnacles at that point?
I took off by myself to do it, actually, and invited my drummer from the Barnacles, Steve, to join me for that. And he was with us for a while for that. And then invited my old Barnacle bandmate, Brian, back, who I mentioned, to work with me on a new album. And we did that. And for a while, we actually had a female vocalist with us as well until she quit to do some backup stuff. Like on the song I Found You, I think you guys have that. Yeah, you'll hear there's a female vocalist at the end, and that was Emily, who we had for a while. So kind of like it's like a project. I just work with different people, and mostly I do it myself. A lot of the instruments and stuff is just me, and the arrangements and structure and everything.
You have your own studio?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have my own studio, and been learning that for years and years. I've heard it takes 15 years to become a good mixing engineer, and I finally passed that point.
I suppose it's a whole lifetime learning process, really, I would think.
Yeah, it is.
Everybody's music is different.
Learning frequencies and what works with your instruments. And I also used to do stuff for other artists. I would mix things and master things. And so I got familiar with other forms of music, even rap and hip hop, and mix some of that stuff. And you get familiar with the frequencies that they use and that work well with those instruments. And you just get all around knowledge of how to mix and what goes with what, and frequency steal from other frequencies.
So do you ever look back on your older stuff and think maybe it's a bit naff? Like if you say that it takes all those years to get to be how you want it to be,
Oh yeah, I mean I go back and
it's a bit cheesy.
I wouldn't call it cheesy, except for the recording quality. Is not as good. I can look back and say, wow, I really progressed.
Yeah.
From album to album, you can hear the progression. I mean, the first one actually was pretty good, but when I compare it to what I'm doing now with a little bit better equipment and knowledge, it's like night and day. Still great songs, but the recording quality overall is more competitive with the mainstream market.
Is your studio a big space or a smaller space? Because that makes a big difference too in your sound.
It's a space enough to fit a drum kit, a double upright bass, guitars, and recording equipment. You don't need a lot of equipment these days, like boxes and gadgets and all that, because a lot of it's computer and digital. but I try to do everything as much as I can organically, through microphones and stuff like that.
Have you ever played with like a full orchestration, horns and cellos and...
No, I've never done that. That would be a cool experience, though.
Yeah, I know. I watched some of those videos of some of these. You go back.
I mean, I did in
years.
school, but not,
Yeah, like Tears
band,
for
but...
Fears. I see them. They're basically, when they came out, they're a rock band. But I watched their videos, and some of the backing is just unbelievable. I mean, it's a full orchestration.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, man, what a difference the sound is when you add all those little things.
Oh yeah, like in the video of when the girls from Heart did Stairway to Heaven, and they did it, performed at the Kennedy Center.
Yeah, exactly.
And Robert Plant and Jimmy Page and everybody were there watching it, and like went to tears. I mean, it was just so fantastic. The whole orchestration they had and the choir and everything, it was just amazing.
Yeah, those are the kind of things where I can really get lost in the music, just trying to hear the little things that make the difference.
Yeah, and that's one thing I focus on too. When I mix a song down, I'm thinking about the listener and what the listener wants to hear. So I do what I call headphone mixes. I put them in so that when you're listening, you have a set of headphones on, a nice set. You hear all kinds of different sounds. You hear different things coming out, and every time you listen, you'll hear something different. If you're really
That's
listening.
what me and Randy like. Sometimes we'll be listening to some tunes, and sometimes we'll find a karaoke version and start singing along with it. And then every time we do it, we hear something new, don't we?
We were talking about that on the show last night about Pink Floyd. You put a set of headphones on and listen to The Dark Side of the Moon, and there's so many things, even just the slightest little triangle and things that you would never know were there.
Yeah.
Unless you have the headphones on. And it's amazing the little things you pick up. And that's, I think a true music aficionado would listen for all those little tiny things,
Right. And the thing about today, a lot of the stuff they're doing today is they're trying to push for mono. Like the Apple iPhones, a lot of them do mono now and stuff. And if you try to upload to like Instagram, it comes in mono, and you don't have quite the feature on it. But you're really missing a lot if you're just listening through your phone speaker or whatever, because there's all those different sounds you're not going to hear. They're going to get lost, in a mono mix. The mono's great for, like, old style stuff, like ragtime and occasionally, if you're trying to do a throwback type of song, it works. But for me, I just like the headphone mix. I like the whole, like you said, Pink Floyd, and having all those different sounds and layers of things and stuff you don't hear until you've listened to the song 5 or 6 times.
I also don't care for the... like when everybody left the stereo effect, from having the right side and the left side and the blend. And then everybody went to kind of this concert sound, like trying to make it like a concert, where it's a wraparound experience. I go back and I listen to the Beatles and some of these older things, Stones, and some of these things that are in stereo. I prefer the stereo any day. Because
I think it's still prefer. Now, if you're talking like if it's a movie soundtrack, it's kind of cool because you hear sounds coming different places and.
Well, yeah, but
like
that's a whole different experience. So you have video to go with it, But for the music part, I mean, sometimes you'll hear a drum roll from the left to the right and then come back together in the middle, And those are things you just don't catch anymore, like you used to with a stereo effect.
Yeah, I do that too a lot. I use tremolo guitar a lot, with the vibrato sound.
Yeah.
And I'll often, if you I'll listen to mixes from artists from, I think Island Records used to have a lot of really good mixes in there. And I listen to a lot of their producers' work, like the Cranberries. When the Cranberries would do their mixes, you would hear vibrato guitars like move from ear to ear and things like that. And then I always like that. Those kind of ideas are what I look for when I, search through, listen to something for ideas of making a good mix.
Yeah, the experience is part of being able to see. I don't, and I know whoever experiences a song hears it differently. Everybody probably does, but I would think. But the experience of whatever you see in your head from what you hear, because I love to watch groups in the studio. I like to watch them record. I like to watch them play. I watch the fingers. I watch the drummers, the look on their faces when they're thinking. The lead guitarist when he's bending some strings and his face twists and knots up. But that all means something to me, when I'm watching and I hear all these little things, and I keep bringing up the triangle, but it's one of those sounds that's there, but you just don't really notice unless you're listening for it. But even those kind of things, I love to just watch that that person, male or female, just make that one little ting that can make all the difference in a back sound. You know, it's just a very cool experience.
Well,
Yeah.
you know they're into their music, and you know they're feeling it, and that's important. I mean, if they're feeling it, you're going to feel it.
I mean, of course, you know, Donna and I are not, you know, singers like you or all these other people, of course, but we do it for fun. But still, you know, once in a while you'll hit that sweet spot and you just get that little chill and you feel it. And I can just imagine what it's like to do do endless amounts of songs like that and have that experience all the time. It's just very cool all the way around.
Yeah, definitely.
Nice to,
I've had that.
Yeah, it's nice to hear somebody talk about it. And, you know, I know you can't put it into exact words, but, you know, a lot of people don't talk about feeling, how they feel the music they make or anything. They talk about the songs and what they do and how they do it.
Yeah.
But, you know, the feeling that goes into it. I mean, if you don't feel it, you can't lay it down the right way, can you?
No. And that reminds me too, there's a song that I had written a while back, and I made a demo of it, of the song. It was kind of I wouldn't call it a cheap demo, but it wasn't anything you'd want to release necessarily, unless you're doing like underground tapes or whatever. But every time I heard it, I played it back. And I don't like my own cooking, so to speak. It's like, you know, when you cook your own food, it never tastes the same as when someone else cooks it. Well, it's kind of the same thing with music. It's like, you got a good song. You know you got a good song. You just know you do if you have one. But it doesn't mean you want to hear it, you know, a million times. But there's been a few that it's like every time I heard that song, it would just like give me chills. And then I recorded it properly and tried to capture, you know, the same emotion that was on the original recording, and I did like 5 or 6 versions of it, and then I just couldn't get it until finally one day, you know, it came back to me and I got it right, and it gives me chills again. But there's just some emotion you have to capture. It's just, in a lot of today's music, it's lacking.
Sometimes
they're going in the studio, they're trying to beat the clock, they're just trying to get it put together, and they're missing all the emotion of it.
You think sometimes you'd have been better off to capture that one first time around and just stuck with that? Has that happened before?
Yeah, I've felt that way before, yeah. But I knew that, you know, there were certain things about it that weren't going to work, you know, commercially or, you know, through radio, because you have to have a certain quality to it. But yeah.
But is it always about that, though? I mean, is it always about, you know, pleasing everybody else, or are there times when you need to do it just to reassure yourself or make yourself feel like you still got it?
Necessarily pleasing everybody else, but when you hit a flat note or something, you definitely don't want to hear it again yourself. Well, so you know, no one else does. But yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying. You know,
sometimes you just need to get it out. I don't know, maybe just to prove to yourself, you know.
Yeah, that's true too. I mean, there's just so many aspects to it that there's so many different things, and that's just one of them. Yeah.
You ever been starstruck by anybody in particular?
Not really. I've just never been that kind of person. I've just never really been. I've always saw everyone else as just people and just humans. And I've never really gone gaga over anybody. I mean, there's people I look up to for sure, but I've never been a starstruck type person.
Yeah, I don't think I ever have either.
In the end, we all have one thing in common, and that's the grave.
Yeah, thanks for the reminder.
Well, it's true.
I know. That's the bad part. The truth sucks.
Yeah, and that's where there is no ego anymore. There is no, you know.
Is there any new music or any music that really moves you, gets you, pumped and hyped?
Oh yeah, a lot of stuff.
Is there anything that you wish maybe you would have done or could do, and it's just not your thing?
Well, there's a lot of things I wish I'd have done. A lot of songs that I really like. Wow, I wish I would wrote that. I mean, you can go back to some older stuff like when I was a teenager, I liked Hall & Oates a lot.
Oh yeah,
and a song like "You Make My Dreams Come True" and "Kiss on Your List" and "Maneater" and all that stuff. It's like, wow, I want to be able to do something like that.
You ever watch Daryl's House?
Actually, I've seen some clips of it. I think on YouTube. Yeah.
Oh, what a great show. I'd love to watch those guys play. There isn't too much they can't do. The OJs was one of the ones that stands out in my mind because they came in and they were doing it live, and it's just like, yeah, man, they still can nail it. You know, and they nail it themselves. There's no synthesizers or nothing added to it. They just, kick some royal ass, and it's just beautiful to watch them jam.
Yeah, no doubt. That's always fun.
Well, are you an independent artist still?
Still independent. I have no interest in a major label. When if they want to negotiate with me, that would be intense negotiation. Because I think the whole idea, with major labels, I mean, if you can't get a good contract with them, it's just not really worth it to me. Because you don't want it to take away from your creativity, what you're doing. Mostly they just want to use you as a workhorse. I don't know if you ever saw the interview with Lady. She was talking about it. She's like, basically, you're a slave to the label, and she was sick of it.
I know a lot of people come through here complaining about Nashville quite a bit. They just don't want to deal with the way it's done anymore. It's, nothing like it used to be. And I don't know about, the rest of the industries, not just Nashville, but the other areas, whether it's, Detroit or wherever, Philadelphia. But a lot of people just don't want to deal with those people anymore. It's just not to their benefit, like you're talking. Yeah,
I mean, for the most part. I mean, because they're trend-oriented and trend-driven as well. And, very, very seldom you hear a new artist that'll break through. They'll have something that's really unique. And those bands usually end up becoming super groups. When you first had groups like, Led Zeppelin come out, that was different. They were doing something completely different. And there was nothing like it. But that happens rarely.
And there's still
But generally speaking, I mean, I listen to probably 70% of what I listen to now is independent artists. And so I get to hear a lot of stuff like you guys do. I hear a lot of music. And I hear a lot of crap, but I also hear some really good stuff that doesn't even come close to the stuff that you hear on the radio, mainstream radio.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, we have music on mainstream radio too, but not, billboards, but smaller and medium charts that were on like New Music Weekly. Our song Younger Summer Memories is number 1 there. Right now it's been for like 3 weeks, and some of those charts that are also very meaningful. But the songs that you hear number 1 on Billboard is like, they're more like, to me, car commercials or something. They're kind of devoid of substance, a lot of them. Yeah. Not all of them, but
I know. I hate that. I can't stand it. I won't even listen to FM anymore. I just call it commercial radio because basically, you get 3 songs and 10 commercials or something. It's like watching TV. All you get is ads for drugs, to take this and take that, and it's like everybody's on drugs no matter how old you are. And the older you are, the more drugs they want to sell you.
Yeah, or cars.
Oh, jeez.
Car dealers at night.
Those people have always been they've always been over the top anyways.
Yeah.
You have any rules that you live by? Any strict rules that you keep upon yourself?
Pretty much. I mean, are you talking about music or in general or what?
Yeah, you involving your music. Yeah, I mean, do you have any, I have to do it a certain thing a certain way? I mean, you have rules, as to what you abide by in order to keep your sound or whatever, or you just kind of live for the
here's
moment?
a story I like. Here's a story I like to tell. It's when you're in music class in college, you learn music theory. Music theory 1 and 2, you learn, the basic rules of Baroque, the rules of music. And you get to music theory 3 and 4, you learn to break all the rules. And so when you get beyond that point, and you don't think in terms of what's correct and what's right and all that, then that's when you can get experimental and you throw it all out. You can still utilize it, like finding a chord you need to move to. You go back to your music theory and you'll say, this could work, that could work. But for the most part, you're doing it by how you feel and by your ear. And so it's more of a wild experience. It's not based on rules and things like that. I mean, there's certain rules that you have to follow or you'll screw everything up. I mean, you don't want a song that's just one long verse because that would bore people to death.
Right. So you build a foundation, a good solid foundation, then you build whatever you want on top of it.
Pretty much. I think that's a good way of putting it.
Yeah. Cool. What do you do to relax? Got any hobbies or anything besides music? Do you still have a day job?
Yeah, well, I like to oil paint. I haven't done it in a while, but I need to get back to it.
Cool.
But I do oil painting and but music really, reading, and
other than Bob Ross, I don't know any other painters.
Actually, he was one of my mentors to the wet on wet technique.
I think those are cool paintings, though. I can't believe what he comes up with sometimes, so quick and easy.
Yeah.
I mean, he makes it look that way.
Yeah. Once you get into it, it does become easier. I mean, once when you learn technique, and same thing with music, it's kind of like you learn the foundation rules, and then you just go off into Imagine Land and make it however you want it.
Yeah, I've tried fine painting and things like that. It's just I just can't. And probably because, like you say, I didn't stick with it enough, but I ended up in the sign business doing the commercial work, and, it's all about money. So crank it out and get paid and move on. That's the kind of thing I do, graphics and stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, a lot of the greatest artists never really made any money off it, that's for sure.
Well,
when you go back and you look at, Picasso and all those guys, and Van Gogh, died penniless, but now look at his paintings are selling for, $10 million or whatever.
I had an Italian guy I used to do a lot of painting for. He used to call me Michelangelo, and I said, "Yeah, you're right. I'll never make any money." It's still that way too. Still don't make any money on it.
Yeah, I mean, there's more opportunities to do it. There's more opportunities now, with the internet and everything, to make money than there used to be. But still, it's a tough business 'cause you have a lot of competition.
It's a lot of work selling yourself, though. It's hard to do. It's not like it used to be. It used to be.
That's the hardest part. Yeah.
Yeah, word of mouth used to be the best way, and it just doesn't work anymore like that. I mean, it does. We get a lot of work by word of mouth, but nothing like it was when I was young.
Right.
In the 70s and 80s.
It takes longer to spread, and then people are getting barraged with advertisements day and night too. From everybody. There's artists that have a lot of money and they can throw a lot of money into it, and that's why you hear a lot of music that's out there, that's even mainstream, is because people put money behind it. And when you spend $250,000, you're going to have a song on billboards, even if it's crap.
Yeah, well, that's true.
That's just the way it goes.
Yeah, that's
so
kind
you
of
have
a
to
shame.
compete with that, and in the long run, because it is a long run, what's really good will I guess a good way of looking at it is cream rises and poop floats. Put it that way.
Are your parents musically inclined in any way?
Well, my dad played guitar and banjo, as I mentioned earlier. My dad's side, everybody, my grandfather also played guitar, and his brother, my great uncle, they used to play guitar together and music together. And actually, I think he played accordion as well, my great uncle. So there's a lot of music on that side of the family, all the way back.
Did your dad get to teach you anything?
Actually, it was more my uncle that did, his brother,
Uh-huh.
because he was really good at being patient and teaching you. I would take like a complicated song to him, like the intro to "Crazy on You" by Heart. I think it's called Dreamboat Annie. There's like this guitar thing that she does, really complicated.
Yeah.
I was like 16 years old, and I was like, "Here, can you show me how to play this?" And like the next day, he'd already have it down, and he'd be showing me how to play it. I'd be like, "How did you figure that out so fast?" And he'd be like, "I don't know. I just figured it out by ear, and there it is."
That's a hell of an album too, man. Love that.
Oh, yeah.
Grew up on that stuff.
Yeah.
You have any heroes?
I mean, the people I look up to, as a songwriter, I think Paul McCartney has always been a really big influence and hero in that sense. Because, I mean, here's a guy that's written so many number one songs and, top 10 songs, and he plays bass, and I play bass. And I know there's something different. A person who plays bass and sings and composes and writes music, you're going to look at it a little bit differently, because the bass is a very powerful instrument. You can really change the whole mood of the song with the bass guitar.
Oh, absolutely.
And you can take it from one thing to completely another, especially if it's... But his melodic bass playing style was very influential on me. Also was Geddy Lee from Rush, who was a big influence on my bass playing.
Speaking of Paul McCartney, do you watch any telly at all?
Not really.
James Corden had Paul on there, Paul McCartney on his show, and they did the...
oh, yeah, I did see that. Yeah.
Did you see him when he was in the bar playing toward the end of that? Oh, my God. He made me feel so comfortable and relaxed. Paul McCartney on stage in front of just regular people, just jamming away and having a hell of a good time. It was just a pretty moving little thing for me. I don't know how it was for anybody else, but it was just very cool just to see Paul up there being Paul,
And Lindsey Buckingham, too, was an influence.
Yeah, that's right.
His
Forgot
guitar
about
playing
him.
style. A lot of people probably forgot about him, but because they're getting older. But I grew up. My parents listened to that music, and I was exposed to it, and it grew on me. And they're still they haven't put out an album for a long time, but when they did, the last one that I really liked was "Say You Will." He's just so talented. I mean, whenever they replace him now, they use two guitarists to replace him.
Was it the Starship he was with?
With Fleetwood Mac.
Fleetwood Mac, that's it, yeah.
So it was Buck and him and Stevie Nicks, really took the band off to a whole new level from where they were before. I mean, they'd been around for a long time, put out a lot of great albums with other members, but when those two joined,
I guess.
her stage presence and her just presence and his ability to arrange and compose and do guitar work is just something everybody should look up to. I mean, that's what you should study. You should study the greats, the best-selling albums of all time. That's one of them, Rumors by Fleetwood Mac. There's a reason why it's a bestseller of all time.
Smoked a lot of weed to Fleetwood Mac. The 70s were fun, I got to tell you. Loved every minute of it.
I was tiny then, but yeah.
Can we ask how old you are?
No.
All right.
I'm not going to tell you. How young I am, you mean?
You remember the first album you ever bought?
First album I ever bought. Yeah, you're going to try to hone in on me there, aren't you?
He's about my age.
He's about your age, huh?
Yeah.
Def Leppard, Pyromania, may have been one of the first ones.
There's a classic.
Yeah, that was a good one. That would change my outlook on things. I had a friend who was pushing on me, saying, "Hey, you got to hear this. You got to hear this band."
Do you play any music like that at all?
That's a little heavier like that, you mean?
Yeah, it's more rocky.
I've been known to. Yeah, I mean on our album, I don't know if you have the album Damaged Goods. There's a song on there called No Breaking Ground. It gets pretty intense like that. The guitar work on there is just, I guess you would call it metal back then in a way.
No, all we have is we have Come On Down, Long Ago Angel, waiting back there somewhere, and Younger Summer Memories.
So yeah, you got a lot of the mellow stuff. So
we got what you sent.
Do you have a CD player? You still have a CD player available?
Oh yeah, of course.
I'll send you a hard copy. Give me the address.
Absolutely. Autograph it too, please. We'll put it on the Yanki and Brit Wall of Shame.
Absolutely. But yeah, I mean, when you sit down and you listen to a whole Barley Station album, then that's when you really get an idea of what everything's about. Because we put it together as an album. It wasn't just, a bunch of songs thrown together. It was it flows. I mean, we sat down and took all the songs, and we would take the last 20 seconds of a song and the first 20 seconds of the next song, and we would put them together, and we would go yeah, that works. No, that didn't work. Yeah, that works. And we put them together that way so that they would flow. And it's also more like a mixtape because it's not just all one style. It's not all one song.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a song that's more country oriented, and then the next song might be a little bit further off, and then the next one will be bang, you're completely in a different land. And that's cool because I hate it when I listen to a whole album, and a lot of artists put out albums these days still, and there's only one or two good songs on them, and the rest of them are they're okay, but they don't really capture me. But I wanted to do something where the whole thing is just good, phenomenal. And so we picked out all our best songs that went together out of hundreds and hundreds of songs we had written, and picked them, recorded them, threw a few out that just didn't have the right feel to them, and then went with those. And that's how we did. We put it together, and we wanted something that. And so far, anybody who's ever heard a whole album by us, they might not like every song, but they're there's at least 3 or 4 or 5 songs that they love. So I think in that sense, then I accomplished the purpose that I set out to do in making an album.
Yeah, when we're working in the shop, we we get a lot of CDs. We'll throw one in and just let it play while we're working here. And we'll hear songs on there that they don't even talk about or mention that are better than the ones they're trying to promote.
Yeah, because it's tough to try to pick your own song, which is best because it's often better to let someone else pick it for you and get opinions from people. And a lot of artists have don't have the ability to really evaluate themselves and just take a step back as if they're someone else and listen to their own music because their egos are too big or their heads are too big or they just don't have that type of insight or emotional touch with themselves or what, I don't know what it is, but it's always good to have insight from other people because, I'll pick a song and I'll say, I really, really like this song. I think this is going to do great. And someone else will say, oh yeah, that's a good song, but I really like this one. And I was like, oh yeah, I could see what you mean. Then you listen to it from a new perspective.
In that case, majority rules, though, right?
Sometimes, yeah. But it kind of goes back to what I said about eating your own cooking.
Yeah.
It's always better when someone else makes it for you. But
yeah, I can relate to that.
But trying to work with other people and I've been doing a lot of collaborations with people too. In fact, on that album back there somewhere, which you don't have the whole album of, on Long Ago Angel, there's background vocals on there. That was a an artist named Virginia Gray, who's been around for a long time, has put out her own albums that are really phenomenal.
That
and
name
she was
sounds
working with me on
familiar.
that. And she also has a band called Carolina Magnolia. And they do more Americana, kind of country Americana style, sort of kind of a more classic country sort of feel to it, but, minus all the pedal steels and all that stuff. But it's pretty unique. But I worked with her on that, and I've worked with other artists on other things as well. And it's good because when you have someone else give an input, sometimes it gives you a different perspective or a fresh way of a song. Because when it comes down to it, a song is bare bones, just the acoustic guitar and the vocal. You know how strong a song is, or just the vocal and a piano or whatever. Sometimes even a vocal and a beat.
Uh-huh.
And you can get a good sense of if a song is worth keeping or recording or whatever. And when you strip it down like that, and it's still a good song, then you could take the song, you can put it in any format you want, because a good song is a good song in any format. You can make it country, you can make it rock. But for me, most of the time, if I write a song, I'll sort of let the song write itself, if that makes sense.
Sure.
And I'll let it go where it wants to go. And sometimes the song will just speak to you and say, hey, I need this. And I'll say, okay, you got it. And then I'll put it together, and then it comes together. Like in the song Long Ago Angel, it wanted to be a very country song, but it didn't want to be stereotypical.
Right.
So there's a lot of different things in that song that you won't hear in a typical country song. So it's more alternative country, I guess you would say, is the term they throw at it, something like that, because you're doing something different.
I can understand completely. I mean, I build things like that, like I'm building my own trains to ride in, and I'll take the designs and the drawings and everything, but just all of a sudden I'll just be going along. It's like, well, you know what? I think I'm going to do this, and I'll do that, and I'll add this and get rid of this, and so
exactly.
I can understand where you're going with the building process.
Yeah. And you might have some really funky looking train that no one's ever seen before, right?
Well, it certainly is different.
Yeah.
I was drawing up plans for another one. I haven't even started the second one yet, but I'm drawing up plans for a third one now, just because it's like I don't know. It's just, I'm possessed, I guess. Let me ask you a couple questions here, and we'll let you go. I don't want to keep you all late.
All right.
And Donna will probably interject with my 10 boring questions, but...
Uh-oh. I may or may not answer them.
That's your choice. What's your favorite word?
Favorite word?
Yeah, you got a favorite word?
That's a good question. Probably cool.
Got a least favorite word?
Flabbergasted.
Who?
Flabbergasted.
Flabbergasted?
Yeah.
Is that even a real word?
Yeah. That's when you're completely confused by something and blown away. And
Yeah, I've heard it. I just wondered if that was real.
Yeah, it's real.
What turns you on?
Music.
What turns you off?
No music.
What sound do you love?
Sound?
Yes.
I love the sound of rain.
Yeah, me too.
Rain and thunder.
I go out and walk in it when it rains. I just get such a kick out of it for some reason.
Unless it's freaking cold out, then it's another story. Yeah. I don't like it.
You'll have that.
But down there in Texas, you probably got nice warm rain, so most of the time.
Not in January.
Well, that's true.
It's cold just like Ohio was. Can't get far enough away
sometimes
from that.
listening to rain and stuff, you'll actually give me an idea for a song sometimes, like a beat.
We have
dripping off the gutter or whatever. And
we have a steel roof on the cabin, so we get to hear that rain. And I'll tell you what, sometimes it rains so damn hard, I can't turn the TV up loud enough, or the headphones aren't loud enough, or whatever I'm doing at the time. It just gets so friggin' loud in here, you can't take it.
Yeah, I think if I wrote a song with rain dripping on a tin roof like that, it'd probably be psychotic.
So that's your opium, huh?
There you go.
What sound do you hate?
What sound do I hate? Creaky floors.
Oh, you're kidding me. Haven't you ever walked through an old hardware store with the creaky floors?
Well, I guess it depends on the context.
Yeah.
But I like quiet, so.
Oh, so do I. Like when we're done with the show at night, man, it's just nothing for a few minutes.
It depends. I mean, you can think back on memories like when I was a kid, being at my grandma's house and you're downstairs and someone's walking across the floor. Then it's okay because it's good memories. But
what's your favorite drink?
water.
What profession other than yours would you like to attempt?
Painter.
What
I
profession
wouldn't
would
make any money.
Well, yeah.
It's always something that would make money.
What profession would you not like to do?
Miner. Wouldn't want to be a miner.
Can you imagine breathing in that stuff all day long,
Yeah.
stuck down in there? I don't
Can't
know.
be good. I feel for those guys, but I used to live in a town that had mines all the way underneath it. The whole town. In fact, one of the schools there collapsed. It was like an elementary school collapsed, about a year after I moved away, and because a mine caved in or something. So.
Have you read about that town in Pennsylvania where the mines underneath have been on fire forever?
No, I haven't actually.
Should look that up. I forget what part of Pennsylvania they're in, but the mines have been burning like forever underneath.
That's insane.
They started years ago. It's kind of a very interesting story. Last question. If heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you get to the gates?
Well done.
I'd just like to hear him talk. I want to see if it has the echo effect or if he's just like a cool guy or something.
Put some reverb on him, yeah. He's a mixing specialist, yeah. Reverb, a little bit of delay, make it big.
I can see you now. Jesus, could you speak into this microphone, please? Well, that's it. Don't want to keep you too long. We need to get back to the music. I got 2 more of your songs to play yet. What a great conversation. Thank you very much. I can't thank you enough for that.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. We'll do it again sometime.
Oh, absolutely. Are you kidding me? You're more than welcome to come into the chat anytime like you have. It's been great having you stop by. When you get some new songs, don't forget to send that CD. I'm dying to hear it.
Oh, yeah. I'll put that on my to-do list for sure.
All right.
Yep.
Until we meet again, au revoir. Au revoir.
All right.
You know what I'm trying
Take
to
care.
say. I know I can say it. I just need practice. We'll see you. Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right, bye.
Here's Barley Station and Younger Summer Memories.
I was waiting by the willows, did not want to be seen.